Hello, my name is Brandon Michael Elrod, and this is my third podcast for public speaking, the Media Review Podcast. And for my Media Review Podcast, I'm going to be reviewing the film Cloverfield. It was released in 2008 and directed by Matt Reeves and produced by the now very famous J.J. Abrams, who also, I believe, produced Lost and had a lot to do with the Star Trek film as well. Um, as far as reviewing a film, the five things I look for most are cinematography, sound quality, atmosphere, acting, and plot. As far as Cloverfield goes, the cinematography was done in the handycam style as if it was filmed by a regular person with just a video camera. Um, the film begins with a party, a going away party for the main character, and during that going away party, they see a news story about an oil tanker that had begun sinking and was on fire in a bay in New York or a port. So they go up to the roof because they think they can see it, and when this happens, they realize that something else is happening, and it wasn't just the ship, and that in reality, a giant monster was attacking New York City. As far as cinematography goes, with the handycam style that I mentioned earlier, um, it makes everything feel very intense and urgent, and it really kind of gives you that edge of the seat feeling that um, makes you sweat and your heartbeat races, and it's just very fun to watch. For most people, anyway, there actually is a small amount of people who would get sick at the theater while watching this for motion sickness because the camera does move quite a bit. As far as sound quality goes, the actual sounds you hear in the movie aren't like pre-recorded sounds. Like everything sounds as if it's being recorded on a low-budget home film-making camera, and everything's blown out, and you can hear people screaming, but you can never tell what they're saying sometimes, and it just makes everything. It kind of brings the feeling of urgency together, and I think that really helps sell the point that this small group of people in this giant city are really actually in danger. Which leads me to the atmosphere of the film. Um, the atmosphere begins quite nice in a studio apartment in New York, but you actually see all of these like gorgeous landmarks that you would normally see in New York City, but they're crumbling or destroyed on fire. You even see the darkness and total like blackness that is the New York subway system, because the characters have to walk down it and do get attacked by smaller monsters that they didn't even know existed until then. As far as the acting goes, it is superb in my opinion. Um, the crew casted several relatively unknown actors to play the main characters because they wanted it to feel like these were real people that you were watching, not just um, actors you've seen in so many other roles, because then that feeling of being real kind of gets lost. And I think using unknown actors was perfect because you actually felt for these people because you don't know who they are. If it had been Brad Pitt, you'd be like, oh, that's Brad Pitt, and this is just acting, and you'd still get some sense of feeling about his character and who he was. But at the same time, if it's someone you truly do not know, it creates a strange connection about who they are and why you want them to survive. And the last thing I look for in film is plot. And as much as this movie is almost plotless, it's just a giant monster attacking the city, which is pretty much the basic plot. But what you have to look for and what you realize is that it's actually a love story mainly, and it's set to the plot, the background of a giant monster movie. And I think that's partially what makes it succeed story-wise, is because it's not just these people trying to survive the night. It's these people trying to survive this giant monster, but also the only reason the story even begins is because the main character is trying to get back the girl that he lost earlier in the night. They made this movie because America did not have a giant monster movie yet, and I think they succeeded really well. Special effects, sound, all the things I mentioned earlier. And I like that it brings you into a world you don't fully understand. It takes you into these people's lives, and you're stuck in this group of about 5 people, and you know nothing about them. But by the end of this film, you know everything about them, and why you care about them is really explained quite well. It's an intense, edge of your seat movie. I've watched it, I can't tell you how many times. It's innovative filmmaking, and if I had to rate this film on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 9. My name's Brandon Elrod. Thank you for watching the Third Media Review podcast. Good night. This is a shot of the monster from Cloverfield. This is an example of the visual effects.